hair, flowing dress, and peasant shawl catching each other's eye. They went to a party that night, got stoned, and ended up in bed together. Then they fell in love. Even before I was conceived, my mother had been thinking about new ways to bring up children. Since leaving home, she had determined to create an alternative to the Catholic family that had so constricted her. By the time she decided to have a baby, she was convinced the nuclear family itself was at fault. An unwitting agent of capitalist consumerism contrived to keep everyone in separate houses, separate from each other and from the community, requiring a whole panoply of separate consumer durables. My mother thought people should cook and clean and make homes together. Marriage was part of the bigger swindle, a patriarchal conspiracy to subjugate women, to keep them at home and working for free. Children were hostages to the system, innocents with no defense against the conditioning hammered into them by parents and schools. Through her therapy, she was beginning to learn that so many of her problems had their tangled roots in childhood. She wanted something different for her children. She did not want them to be a victim of the same kind of love instilled in her by the Catholic Church, the love that enslaved her to the suffering of others. Still, she wanted a kid, and John seemed an ideal partner for this new venture. He was the nicest man she knew. Although they were not living together, they were both now living in Leeds, but in separate communal houses. They agreed to share me between them after I was born. As part of a feminist mission to reclaim women's bodies from domination by the patriarchal system, our bodies, ourselves, was one of her political mantras. My mother wanted to put childbirth back into the hands of women. She chose to give birth to me at home. 2 hours into labor, on the cusp of transition, the point at which the woman's body takes over the birth process completely, she stopped gasping and turned to the midwife. "Okay, that's it," she said. "Stop. I've changed my mind. You can all go home now. It's fine." Then her neck lolled back, and the wet dome of my head began to emerge from between her legs. As I came out, the midwife could see the umbilical cord was wrapped tight around my neck. As quickly as I was being born, I was being strangled. "You went dancing too much, love, while you were pregnant," the midwife teased my mother afterwards. Because the cord was wrapped around twice, the midwife couldn't unhook it, so she took up a pair of scissors and cut the cord while I was still being born. "Your oxygen supply was cut too soon," my mother told me once. "You can blame all your problems on that if you like." There are black and white photos of my birth, exact records of the light which fell on us the moment I arrived. My mother's feminist connections were thick. The photos were used to illustrate an article in Spare Rib called In the Beginning. The writer encouraged every pregnant woman to make the personal into the political, to take charge of what they mean by family and home. "All a newly delivered woman actually needs is loving friends," she wrote. "They don't have to be male, and they don't have to be relatives. Home can mean whatever a woman wants it to mean." The photos in the article are credited to my father. This time there was a man there. He's in the frame of the last photo himself. He must have used his favorite feature, the camera's timer, because now we're all in the picture. My mother is draped in a quilt, slumped back against a floral pillow. Her eyes are nearly closed. My father is leaning on her shoulder, looking both fascinated and weary. Years later, he told me how it felt to be there at the birth of his son. "The thing is, there's 2 of you. Then you go into this room, and there's a lot of blood and shouting, and all of a sudden, there's 3 of you, and that new person doesn't go away," he said. When my mother was 5 months pregnant, she decided she wanted John close to her, so he moved in. To record the progress of our experimental family, they went to a photo booth each week. My father has kept these photos, a chart of our family in the few months we were a nuclear unit. In the early pictures, we're all there, my mother, John and me, all crowded into the booth, perched on the small swivel stool. In the first few pictures, my mother is looking down, straight at me.